Week 7 of the fantasy football season. Here's a few kickers. I look to start this week. The first kicker, Jake Elliott of the Philadelphia Eagles. Jake Elliott, it hasn't been a great year for him, but now with A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith back in the lineup, I think this Eagle team obviously are going to get more opportunity to score the football. This week, a good matchup at the New York Giants, where the defense gives up points, and they've been a bend-but-don't-break defense at times as well. And also, we know Jake Elliott, he has a good track record versus the New York Giants. Going back years ago, hitting a 63-yarder once to walk off a ball game. So this Eagle offense back intact. Last week, Brown, Smith both found the end zone. And I think Jake Elliott goes out there this week, and it wouldn't be surprising if 2 weeks in a row now he has double-digit fantasy points kicking the football. The next kicker, Harrison Butker of the Kansas City Chiefs. So this Chief team, they've stalled out a lot this season. We know they got a lot of injuries. Isaiah Pacheco, Rashee Rice, Hollywood Brown. Most likely all those guys might be out all the regular season. And Harrison Butker, he's been a solid kicker for many seasons and got the nice extension early in the year as well. So coming off a bye week, more fresh is this whole Kansas City Chief team. I think Butker's going to get opportunities. It's a Super Bowl rematch at the 49ers. And they are bend-but-don't-break defense, obviously, where you got to earn points and a lot of teams stall out in the red zone. So I think Butker, once again, he's locked in as a top 5 option at the kicking position. And I believe he could be a double-digit scorer as well. The next start, Cameron Dicker of the Los Angeles Chargers. Cameron Dicker, he's been solid over the last few seasons for this Los Angeles Charger team. And another kicker as well who got an extension. So right now he's out there in tons of fantasy leagues. And this year, 2 out of 5 games, double-digit fantasy points for Cameron Dicker. And this week, a good matchup at the Arizona Cardinals. Their defense can't stop anyone. It's an indoor game in Arizona as well, where that's always great, where you don't have to deal with any elements. The true accurate football where you kick it. So Dicker this week, I believe this team's going to stall out at times. Not a great offense as this Los Angeles Charger team. In the last 2 weeks, Dicker's had decent ball games. Week 4 versus Kansas City, 6 fantasy points. And week 6 at Denver, kicked well, 11 fantasy points in that one. So this week at Arizona, I believe anywhere from 8 to 10 fantasy points is a possibility. On Monday night, the next start, Chase McLaughlin of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Chase McLaughlin, he's been solid all season long on one of the more high-powered offenses in all pro football is Chase McLaughlin. And it's pretty much 8 or more fantasy points weekly. 3 out of 6 games this season, he's had double digits. And 5 out of 6, 8 or more fantasy points. So this week, a good matchup versus the Ravens. Give up the 4th most fantasy points to kickers on the season. And like I said, this team, they're scoring 35 points per game over the last 3 games, is this Tampa Bay Buck team. So this week versus Baltimore, Monday night, I believe it's going to be a shootout. Chase McLaughlin's been a better kicker at home than he's been on the road throughout his NFL career. And this week versus the Ravens in a high-scoring ball game, he's definitely a start. And the 5th and final kicker I look for starts, Jake Bates of the Detroit Lions on a high-powered offense. And this could be a potential shootout at Minnesota, even though we know Minnesota is one of the better defenses or the best defense this season, whichever way you want to put it. So Bates this season hasn't been great, but last week what a monster performance it was for him at the Dallas Cowboys with 19 fantasy points. So this week in Minnesota, I'm not saying he's going to get double digits right away, but 7, 8 fantasy points is definitely a possibility. And anytime you play, obviously, in a high-powered offense and indoors as well, like he is this week at Minnesota, your chances of having a good game and a top 12 performance is definitely a possibility. So like I said, Bates and this line team, they're going to get opportunities. Even if it's not a lot, they're still going to get chances to score the football. Like I said, this line team, one of the more dynamic and high-powered offenses in the league. In the last 2 games, they've combined to score 89 points in 2 games as this line team. So like I said, the points have been there. Opportunities are going to be there. And this week, even in a tough matchup at Minnesota, I like Bates as a start this week. So that's a few kickers I would start for week 7 of the fantasy football season.